All right, all right. Welcome again to the session of marriage and psychology, or psychology and marriage, whichever way you want to put it. You are welcome to join us wherever you are. If you are online right now, you can go ahead and join us. And if you have friends that you would love for them to join us, you're free to go ahead and invite them. If you have anybody, a friend of yours who would like to kind of find some help or understanding of why some things are happening with him in his home as a married man, as a married woman, or who is struggling with his marriage, as regards to some symptoms and emotional stress, you are welcome to invite your friend and ask questions as as much as we can. All you need to do is to avail yourself and watch, listen, and make comments, ask questions. I'm here for us to talk about those things. I know I'm just being vulnerable, you know, um, to some of these things that I share with you guys. It's not like, oh, well, he is perfect, so let's learn from his perfection. No, rather, it just, God-given thing that I have decided to say, well, let me share, since Replica Church decided to give the opportunity for us to bring, our God's given giftings to share out there with the society, with the church universal, and of course, wherever you are, even in the church or not in the church, because my uh, discussion cut across whatever belief you are or faith you are, it could still be of help for you. So you're welcome. Once again, um, if you don't know my name or probably you're invited, I'm nobody than Eli Kerek. So call me Eli Kerek. That's the name. So today, having looked at vindictiveness in marriage, why some people could be that much, or go that far to kind of think that, well, because of his behaviors and action, I think he meant to do that. Because he meant to do that. So as far as I'm concerned, before he even do it, or because he has done it, then I'm going to take my time and find the right time and
hit at her or I hit at him, and that's it. We are 1-1. So no vest, no war. I mean, no worry, no. Don't take any hit hard because it's what you did to me. Remember what you did to me, and so yeah. So revenge, avenging and retaliation. That's where vindictiveness, would always kind of raise his head. But today it's something that kind of one of those behaviors that is there, but we don't pay attention to it. Like I always say, it's just being proactive or being intentional in our marriages that will help us to kind of see some things that we don't see. But when we don't live intentionally, and that's why some things happened at our own watch. We're watching, we're saying aim, but because we are not intentional, so they happen, and when they happen, you kind of ask why and how did that happen? Yeah, don't be surprised, and it should not be something that is mysterious. No, it is there. It's just because you've not paid attention. It's just because you are not so observant and you're not listening. The key thing, I think, I would bring it also here in this platform, as we say, in counseling. The key thing in counseling is listening. So I would also say that in marriage, the key thing should be listening. If we would listen to one another, then we'll be able to understand some things, or we're able to observe some things, and we're able to kind of address those concerns or those things that we're able to hear, we're able to kind of understand, so and you will know how to engage your partner or your wife or your husband, so and what is that? I just want us to also look at this behavior, um perceived behavior, passive behavior, or passivity, to be passive in your behavior or to have a passivity, it's more like something that, I would say, uh, allowing it to go, let it go, or, sometimes it's not just overlooking, so to say, but I would want to just look at it from the way I try to put it, because we're going to look at the few identifiers, the flyers for you to kind of say, well, yeah, I've seen this, and that's why, and now I can connect with that. So passivity could be seen as a weakness to some people, probably, or by nature of it, could be seen also as a low self-esteem, or could be seen from that perspective. Could be also seen, when you are non-defensive, towards an opponent or toward an action or behavior from an opponent or your partner, and of course, passivity, in another word, is psychological default, so to say, allowing others to do things to you without complaining or pushing back. Okay, allowing others to do things to you without complaining or pushing back is a psychological, default, you know, and of course, which it results in a way in an emotional imbalance, okay, because it renders you, emotionally, imbalanced. So passivity behavior in marriage affects quality relationships, and of course it affects the health of that marriage, it affects the health of that relationship. So, and so the common identifiers of this is, mostly some people would say, I don't care, it's okay, no problem. When people are so much, you know when something is happening or something is going on with them in the home, as wife and husband, when you see a wife or a husband who would always want to say, well, it's okay. Anything that happened, it's okay. Anything, it's okay. And well, no problem, no problem. I know I met one of my mentors, so to say, in the pastoral, field or ministry that I know of. I lived with him for a few years, and I got to understand him to be one of those passive, people with passive behavior. He has this passive behavior because anything is he's okay, he's all right, he's all right, he's all right, he's all right. Even if it's not all right, even if it's not okay, it's okay. Yeah, yeah, badamwa, badamwa. So now it's a problem. Sometimes in that, when you're trying to exhibit or practice the spirit of humility, practice the spirit of patience, perseverance, practice the spirit of waiting. Sometimes our waiting, gets to some level that we feel, well, I'm going to then take this escape. I'm going to take this a way of trying to avoid and trying to do that instead of probably handling it in a healthy way. Before you know, um, you're on the other board. On the other side, not really handling it well. So, and definitely such behaviors could lead, like I said, could lead to emotional imbalances. So definitely, because it's an action that leads to an emotion, an emotion from an emotion. Before you know, it becomes an activity there, or becomes a behavior, so to say. So such behaviors, passive behavior, doesn't just come overnight. Sometimes some people, like, that's who they are. They are born that way, and they're just like that. They hardly can get angry. Hardly can they make issues out of something. But it could be a weakness, like we said. Some people see it as weakness. Some people see it like low self-esteem. Okay, or maybe because you are non-defensive, so they want to take advantage of that. So because of that, if as a wife, a wife marrying a husband who is so passive in his behavior. So he always let it go, always let it go, always let it go. So the woman tend to take advantage of him, trying to kind of, she would think as if, well, it's okay. I would just do that. He's not going to say nothing, you know. Or if she is the one with such kind of a behavior, and so of course the husband takes advantage of her. He will just go and do anything, anyhow, anywhere. Well, she's not going to say nothing. She's okay with that. But the truth is, a long time, dwelling or kind of live within that behavior, sometimes if it is not natural with the person, it leads to some kind of a emotional stress. And because that's what that's what we're trying to avoid. We always want to avoid the emotional stress. We don't want to be stressed because of something that we could handle, or something that is not worth being worried for, or being affected from our own quality of life, or quality of our relationship in our marriage. So definitely, like I said, the common sign is someone who always say, it's okay, no problem, I will wait. So when you see this happening all the time, you as a husband and you as a wife, Oh no, it's not okay. You want to find time to sit with your husband or with your wife. You want to find time to sit. I mean, ask this question. You always say it's okay. Are you sure it's okay? You always, anytime, you keep saying it's okay. Are you sure it's okay? So, because it might not be okay. So when you engage this person with wisdom, find the right time, the right atmosphere, in the right, place, you might hear some things from this from your husband or from your wife. Because being quiet, being reserved, being into herself or himself, it doesn't mean that it's okay. But it's just because you have dominated the scene. You have dominated the whole thing. And so because she doesn't want a problem, he doesn't want a problem. So he would just say, well, I'll let it go. But for how long is he going to let it go? And would that be productive for you, the person who is in dominance, who is having that, certain behavior? Because that's a question you need to ask yourself. If you're the only one that always there in the scene, you only want to show yourself, you only want to display. I don't think if it's right. I don't think so. I don't think so. You don't want to steal the show all the time. You always want to see, okay, I want to see from his perspective, from her perspective, then doing that, help you to kind of balance um, your understanding of each other, you know. So uh, what are those effects? How does it affect, uh, family relationship or your marriage? How does those behaviors or that very particular behavior can lead to an emotional, distress? So normally when this keep going over time, the other person will not, will probably, he would be overlooking it, but it will come to a time that he or she would not tolerate it, but would not come out to say, this is my problem. I have a problem with you. But you will just, if you notice from him or from her, you probably see some kind of, withdrawal, or some kind of a way trying to 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 give some, push away or some pushback. So definitely you need to be careful. That person has been tolerating you for a while. Just because he or she doesn't want to respond to something that she could have responded to. So, people with passive behavior, they are not weak. They are not. It's not because of low self-esteem. No, and these are people who have been tolerant, who have been kind of giving it a try, who are trying to be in a way simplistic in their way of life, living a simple life, but you want to take advantage. Before you know, it leads to anger. This person that you notice that he is not he quiet, he is now, before you know, somewhere, you know he will get angry. And that very day that he gets angry, and that will be when you would now think as if something is wrong. When you didn't pay attention, it's been long that something went wrong. It's been long that something went wrong. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the psychology of each other. What's going on? His face is frowned today, or there's so much smile today, or he is he's not, there's no energy seen in him or in that person. So these are some things that that could tell you. I mean, you can use it as a checking, tool to kind of find out if it's okay. So when this person gets, this is someone that you've never seen anger in him. You've never seen his face frown. You've never seen him, kind of being. He is. They are the time that they are not They are not so much active or upfront. And of course, they're not people who are too down low there. No. But for the sake of peace, for the sake of understanding, and for the sake of healthy marriage, for the sake of um, let's get going, and that's why they are that way. And so it doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. It doesn't mean that they are foolish. It doesn't mean that, no, they know what they're doing, but it's just because they want to let it go, because they don't want to offend you. Okay, they don't want to offend you because they don't want to offend you, and that's why they keep it that way. So people with passive behavior, remember, they can get angry, but they don't get angry easily. But when they get angry, it's bad. That's why some people, the only way for them to show their anger is to just get out of the show, leave. So some would elope, some would just take a French leave quietly, some, would just, before you know, then they react. So their reaction through their emotional anger, it's not good. It's not always good. So, and people would another thing, another emotion that you see from people with a passive behavior, when it takes over time. Now they will be nursing some kind of having resentment, keeping things in mind without letting it known. Even when you are bothered about the attitude, now they will just, but you think it's fine, but they have been that resentment, it's so, because they don't show it to you until when they boast. When they boast, becomes a problem. As soon as they boast, it becomes a problem. But you don't want them to boast. You always want to. I mean, you want to be careful for them not to boast. When they boast, man, it's going to be difficult to handle them. So it's going to be difficult to handle them. You want to be careful. And another thing is, such kind of behavior, people with passive behavior, they can go down to depression. You could push them. When you see people from being, averagely normal, or averagely kind of being taking it slow or taking it active, but going down the line, or starting to kind of show some kind of Down syndrome, then you have to be careful before these people start to, you start to see it in them, keeping things in mind without letting it, resulting in lacking interest in you, lacking interest in what you cook. That's if your husband, even because now cooking, that's an African thing. It's only wives that cook, but some of us now, we're on the other side of the world now. That's no Cooking is not for one person. It's like cooking is not for, or domestic, things is not just for the women. That nobody is for both. So I mean, but the point is, people who are depressed, it leads to lack of interest. So when you see your wife or your husband lacking interest, in your food, in activities that you do together, or in making love, or in go in place together, be careful, just, watch that. Something is wrong. So it definitely will lead to serious depression, because he doesn't talk or she doesn't talk. She always says okay, and now you take advantage of that. When he become depressive, or that. Now the anger I'm talking about would be fully blown. Anything that that person will start becoming, irritated of all everything that is coming from you. For him, is just is irritable. So because now you want to be careful before that person begins to show his real, because his real, the subconscious, is going to now definitely become fully conscious. So you don't want to letting the sleeping dogs lie. Is at that moment will not help, but rather you want to bring it out. Let the dog out. Let the dog, be out there. So and definitely, because you are the one that is, because this person is not, and I think I might be, I might not be accurate, but I believe people who would be having such passive behavior could fall within the borderline. I mean, within the ideation, or within the line of people that are more melancholy or phlegmatic, because definitely you don't expect a choleric or a sanguine to have such. No, sanguine or a choleric, it will be, it's not easily, for such passive behavior to be seen in them. But mostly people who are flag or male, so to say, it's easily to be seen in them. And of course, people with passive behavior, of course, you start to see, when you start to see them distancing or dissociating, or then definitely they will start to pretend, all is well. Um, you know, are you okay? Yes, but you're trying to do this one. The person will just find a place, go sit there, doesn't want to go where you are. So distancing, from everything. You remember, because the interest, because of depression, so that person, is no more interested in anything. So now start to create distance, create distance, create distance. So when that start to happen, you better take note. And the last thing, probably, I would also, a narcissistic ideation could also push, that person to a narcissistic, ideation, because it makes the other person develop that narcissistic, uh, behavior, so to say, making things all about, those people would not the person that is having, not the person with the depressive behavior, but the other person will now begin to develop, a narcissistic, behavior, because he would think everything should be about him, about me. Everything is about me. Everything's about me. So if it's not about me, no, it is not a good thing. So, and that person with the person behavior, he would know, okay, since everything is about you, all right, I'm out of it. So that's what I just wanted to call your attention to this particular behavior. Being passive in our behaviors, sometimes it helps and it doesn't help. We need such kind of passive behaviors when there's heat argument, when there's sharp contrast in our presentations, or when there's sharp argument or differences. Then at that moment, of course, passive behavior can help, because that person is going to, let it go. It's going to say it's okay. So when you say it's okay, then now it means it's a moment to discuss. It's a moment to listen. It's a moment to engage, because you don't want to be both up there. He said, she said, he said, she said. But in that moment, definitely you would want that, uh, passivity to kind of take place. So I hope that, you want to pay attention to, don't take advantage of your husband, who is so humble, who is so low in terms of always in the low key, or your wife who is also in the low key. You take advantage of that. You want to always, steal the show. No, the day that he's going to take over, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. That's why you want to understand, each other. You want to, have some kind of balances, in the marriage, because we know that, of course, in the government, we always talk about checks and balances. We know, but definitely we know that many a times it doesn't work. Where you think as if the legislatures will check, the executive, or the executive, checking the, the judiciary, or, to be honest with you, we need to. Well, thank you. Here is my boss. Thank you so much, Prof, for that. Truly speaking, it is something that we need to really, if we want a healthy marriage or healthy home, it is not about the other person, but it's about the two. You two guys. You got to really sometimes let it go, but sometimes talk about it. Sometimes withdraw. Sometimes you want to kind of push forward. By that, you have a balanced relationship. So thank you so much. Next week, I want to talk about something also that is so very sensitive. Still has to do about sex. But and I told you, I said, as we go on, we'll keep going in and out about sex, because we're going to talk about it. Talk about it. So thank you so much for your time, and yes, continue to stay safe, and take care of yourself. Take care of the family. Make sure family is doing well. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you next week.